If there's an ongoing anime that I'm always ready and willing to talk about, it is Rezero. Part of the reason we made this channel is so I could have an excuse to make a Rezero video, and that's literally the first thing that I did. I love this series, the premise, the world, the characters. Rezero is an absolute epic. If you thought it took a long time to read One Piece, I dare you to take on Rezero. Each year I make sure to head back to the web novel, which I've been reading for the better part of a decade, and I always have hours and hours of chapters to read. Teppei Nagatsuki is a genius, and I'm forever grateful for the uncountable hours I've been able to enjoy his work. Now, when the Rezero anime debuted in 2014, I was just starting my YouTube career in video games, but friends I had online begged me to watch it, and so did my partner, who I'm still with for the record. So I did, and I was blown away. I think a lot of people were. Here was an isekai doing things and doing them so well the genre has now completely taken over the anime world. All of the best additions to the genre have reiterated the best parts of Rezero, or in the case of Konosuba, deliberately parodied them, which is fine because Nagatsuki and Natsumi Akatsuki, who's the writer of Konosuba, they're like best friends, which I think is really cool. So naturally, with all that said, last year when season 3 was announced, I was incredibly hype. Obviously, I already knew it was going to be a good season, but just seeing the anime return as fast as it did was really heartening. Then the season premiered, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I heard nothing about it from anybody, anywhere. Most people I knew hadn't even started watching it yet, so I was left with a question. Why is nobody talking about Rezero Season 3? Let's pop off. This is really good. This is really good. What's going on? It's Friday. Video has to be out tomorrow. Yep. I'm here eating delicious pork. If you think I've had time to meal prep at all this month, you're out of your mind. We put out a video like every single week. Instead, I got this week's sponsor, Factor. Factor is a meal kit delivery service, but instead of trying to be cute and like making you cook the food, they just give it to you already ready to go. It's packaged portion, you stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes and you got a full meal. So Factor lets me eat chef-crafted meals no matter how screwed I am time-wise. Not only that, but I got 35 different meals to choose from every week. If I go keto, but you can go calorie smart, vegan, whatever you want. But let's be real, what really matters is the price. Like, what's the point of all this greatness if you can't even afford it? Well, I can tell you right now, I'm saving money with Factor, not only on takeout, but also on my grocery bill. It's kind of crazy. And if all this sounds great, I can make it even better for you. So what you want to do is you want to head to factor75.com or click the link below in our description or pinned comment and use the code 50 Bonsai Pop, and you'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's a week of food at rock bottom prices. You really can't pass it up. So again, just go to factor75.com and use the link in the description and pinned comment. Use code 50 Bonsai Pop to get 50% off your first box and free shipping. Check out all the meals and options and take a little stress off what should be the most simplest part of your week. Anyway, thanks so much, Factor, and back to the show. Pretty much anytime someone asks me for an anime recommendation, the first two that I give is Berserk and Rezero, and from that you can probably gauge my tastes. I think anime and Japanese creators do dark fantasy better than anybody else in the world, and while they're inherently different stories, I think that Berserk and Rezero scratch that dark fantasy itch better than the rest. While the former is hell on earth, the latter is hell for one person, the totally normal, less than average Natsuki Subaru, a character I've come to find out is like super divisive. I've had more than a few people come back to me saying they cannot stand him, which I just don't know how to feel about. Unlike Guts, Subaru is a boy. He has boyish tendencies, he thinks like a boy, he acts like a boy. Maybe that rubs people the wrong way. However, I've always felt that his character is pretty true to life. I mean, there's things about being a normal boy that aren't pretty. Undeserved confidence, inability to read the mood, a feeling of life owing you something, the inability to act appropriately when surrounded by beautiful women. Boys are dumb, Subaru is dumb, but he's also learning. And he's learning in the absolute worst situation possible. Unlike the majority of us in our comfy lives, Subaru is somewhere where people will just kill you. Now, when I described the core mechanic of the series back in 2019, I likened it to Dark Souls, but having a few more years to think about it, Rezero is a lot more like Oddworld. You see, in Dark Souls you die, but then you get stronger and you come back and you fight the boss and eventually you overcome the boss by defeating it. And in Oddworld you have this goofy, weak main character whose only superpower is like a weird quirk who just dies over and over and over in the most horrific ways until he, or you, figures out how to safely pass each trial. However, there's another hitch. The only way to get the good ending in Oddworld is to rescue all of the other Madokans. If you don't, you get the bad ending and the whole journey was pointless and you gotta start over again. And what you realize after spending a while in the world of Rezero is that the biggest problem for Subaru isn't dying and being reset to whatever inane daily event his curse saved him at, for lack of a better term. It's the fact that he refuses to move on unless everybody makes it out alive. No matter what the scenario is, Subaru has to have the happy ending, even if it kills him. This is an awesome narrative mechanic that sets up a ton of scenario writing and what ifs, but it's also used to show Subaru's growth. Eventually, everybody has to grow up, and growing up is hard. Definitely more so for some than others. Rezero takes that knowledge and that life experience that we've had and ramps up those pains of youth to the absolute maximum possible. For me, it's hard to not love Subaru, because I'm gonna use this word again, because of the juxtaposition of his boyish stubbornness. Almost every time he dies, it is a consequence of his stubbornness, but every time he triumphs, it's because he used that stubbornness for good. Boyish tendencies can result in extremely reckless behavior, but it's also that same borderline psychosis that wins medals of honor. I don't know a better way to put that. Subaru literally needs more than one chance. It's like the entire premise of the show. Maybe you should give him one. Also, please watch the sub. He's so much better in Japanese, I swear.
My name is Subaru Natsuki, and I just risked it all to save your life from a dangerous and heinous villain. Is that okay?
Okay.
俺の名前は夏木スバル。俺ってば今まさに君を狂人から守り抜いた命の恩人。ここまで OK?
Okay.
So, okay, over time, it seems like a lot of people got miffed with Subaru, but there's a huge, dedicated fan base out there of people like me who just love this series to death. However, that's not to say there haven't been some grievances along the way. For instance, after a banger first season comprising 25 episodes and some of the best writing and animation we'd seen for the time, season 2 took a little while. And as an adult who feels time slipping by faster and faster every day, 7 years is still a really fucking long time. Of course, for me, I fell in love with the series as an adult, and generally once you hit a certain age, you kind of cement your tastes. They'll grow, of course, but you usually don't look back at the bands you listened to when you were 24 and cringe like you do when you think about when you were 13. However, if you were 13 when Rezero came out, you were 20 when season 2 came out. That is literally forever. You are a different person now. And if you fell in love with the show when you were 70, you were probably dead by 2021. Whoops. So not only was there a giant 7-year gap between season 1 and season 2, but season 2 was not the best. And I'm not saying that as a web novel supremacist, okay? Season 2 was kind of doomed unless a miracle happened. Now, maybe you like season 2, and if you did, that is awesome. I'm really glad you did. That's a super good sign. I knew going in, though, that unless they split it into 2 very long seasons, it just wasn't going to work out perfectly. It did cap out at 25 episodes, which was promising, but to put it into perspective for you, season 1 covered 3 arcs in the series and about 155 chapters. It did very well, it missed some stuff here and there, but it's still one of the best single seasons in anime, period, in my humble opinion. Season 2 covered Arc 4, which is 134 chapters all by itself, and at that point, Nagatsuki really upped the page count, if you know what I mean. Chapters really became chapters. Arc 4 is long as hell, confusing, and very subtle. It's a great read, and some of the best, honestly, but it stretches way out, and I think all the Rezero super nerds knew the anime just wasn't going to be able to do it justice, if it was going to be able to translate to anime at all. And let's just say it came out a little boring, especially if you were watching week to week, but that was because there was so much to cover and it was all so important, so you kind of had to just take the best course you could. And not only was it a little boring, but it missed a lot of marks. Marks that you would never notice because it did tell a complete narrative. But like I said earlier, Subaru is going to get his happy ending even if it kills him. But what if that isn't good enough? The first part of Arc 4 in the web novel is Subaru basically completely losing it and offing himself in Minecraft like 40 times hoping to get Rem and Krush back even though he knows he can't. It's incredibly emotional. It shows, it's like the consequence, right? The thing that he feared the most, getting set at a time past where he can save somebody he cares about. And the anime is just like, whoop. There was a ton of time spent on Garfield in the novel that we didn't get in the show. Otto too, like these guys are super important characters that just did not get their due. Their relationships to the other characters weren't fleshed out super well. How freaking terrifying Garfield is to have as an enemy wasn't done well. The insane terror of the Great Rabbit was watered down. There was a lot of really good stuff in Arc 4, but the anime just could not possibly cram it in. It's like the fourth Harry Potter movie. The book was just too fat to be able to cram it into a film, and in the end it's like the absolute worst one of 19 or however much that psycho is still putting out.
Don't get tattoos. I got a Harry Potter tattoo years ago because I'm not psychic. I didn't know J.K. Rowling was gonna go all Mel Gibson on us.
Speaking of Rem though, I don't think people were ready to let her go. It's so hard. Rem is such a lovable character. She's cute as hell. She also fits into Weirdo's maid fantasies. Like, it's impossible not to use her and Ram to absolute death in marketing the series. But when you do that for 7 fucking years, and then episode 1 of the highly anticipated season 2 comes out and you basically murder her, oh buddy, people are gonna be upset. And no, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil anything, but let me just say, if you're holding your breath, just let it out. Nobody in the comments spoil anything either, okay? That's messed up, seriously. Regardless, even the relationship between Subaru and Beatrix just didn't hit the mark. The absolute elation of triumph in defeating the Great Rabbit after so long and so many failures, one after the other, is just not the same in the anime. And it never is the same in the anime or the movie as it is in the book, but like, season 1 got pretty close. Season 1 was good. But with all that said, there was a lot of good in season 2. In fact, if you were comparing season 2 to most of the other isekai out there, it still stands out as some of the best in the genre. I just think waiting 7 years for that, waiting 7 years for Arc 4 in particular, was a big mistake. Of course, there's a balance that needs to be struck. You don't write something that long without it taking time, but Arc 4 was done long before the anime came out. Then again, maybe they were waiting for the web novel to be edited into the light novel and then mostly translated into English. I don't know, but 7 years is too much time between seasons, okay? The web novel is at Arc 9 and has 3 more arcs planned. If we went by season 1 to 2 standards, the anime wouldn't finish for 84 fucking years. But thankfully, we didn't have to wait another 7 years, only 2.5. A miracle in comparison. In season 3 was gonna be good. Right, for the first couple arcs, you only get a taste of the world of Rezero. It's just an introduction to some of the mechanics, and it completely skips out on other stuff like protections from the gods, etc. Like, if you think Reinhardt is OP, you have absolutely no idea. He makes OP look like Yamcha, and he's coming back, baby. In season 1, you meet Betelgeuse, a Sin Archbishop of the Witch of Envy. He is insane, legitimately one of the most crazy psychotic anime villains to ever hit the screen. And he's just one of 7 or 8 or 9, you'll see. But regardless, that one Archbishop made such a huge impact. This guy is unforgettable. Season 3 though, you get 4 at once. It's a brawl, a battle royale, and everyone is in town. Shit is hitting the fan and nothing is gonna be the same after. Characters you love, characters you hate, everyone is under one tent, and it is so good. But I was dead sure that the anime wouldn't disappoint. I mean, how could it? Arc 5 is a lot shorter than 4, it's more condensed and has way more action while maintaining Rezero's patented emotional intelligence. And so far, I'm very content. I'm a little bit concerned about the 16 episode limit. That's not great, but episode 1 is an hour and a half long. Rezero's just always been able to do basically whatever it wants, but it still surprises me sometimes. That's a long episode. That's a movie, but still, nobody is talking about it, and that has me concerned. I know the season isn't over yet, it's mid-season, but a bunch of AniTubers tend to jump on things like 4 episodes in to get as many views as possible. Not seeing Rezero in those videos throws up flags for me. The 3rd season is getting 9 less episodes than the first 2, that also makes me concerned. Now believe me when I say that I understand becoming culturally irrelevant. When your audience and main demographic can become adults or end up with a child in 2nd grade between season releases, you may have fucked up. And then when that season is just okay, you know you fucked up. Kids are the biggest consumers of entertainment and source of revenue. Dad A here may not like anime, but if his obnoxious brat does, you bet your ass he's paying for Crunchyroll to shut that kid up. But when that kid becomes a junior in college, by the time the 2nd season of an anime he watched when he was 13 comes out, you probably lost him. Because of this, Rezero Season 2 relied heavily on its hardcore fan base to prop it up, and I think we can say that we did our best. However, when your hardcore fan base reads books, I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure. We're going to see what you got wrong and what you left out, and we're going to whine about it like the giant babies we are. And when that season took 7 years to put out, and it's not that great, and we don't know if we're gonna get another one before we hit middle age, I mean, why even watch it? Honestly, as a fan of the books, a fan of the series, you're kind of just setting yourself up for more heartbreak. That 7-year stretch was agony. I mean, it made people read books, dude. That's like, for most people, especially Americans, getting people to read a book would take water torture. You know you're hurting people when they start to actually read. And then once you got them there, once you got their nose in that book, the anime is kind of a consolation prize, isn't it? Well, maybe, if you stick to the course you set, but you didn't, and season 3 is here, and it's good. It's super good for an anime-only base. They're gonna love it, but you hurt some people, and you gotta get them back on the train, which means I have to get them back on the train, assuming White Fox doesn't take this video down. You're welcome. But not only is season 3 good, action-packed, and worth talking about, season 4 is going to be insane. And season 5 is gonna bust your balls so hard in the best way. There is so much coming down the pipeline if Rezero can get back into the zeitgeist like it was in 2014. That means you and me, we just gotta get it there. Watch it, leave a review, give it 5 stars, put it on your My Anime list, ask your favorite creators to do a video on season 3, and then watch that video, a-hole. There's nothing like being begged to cover a topic and then having nobody show up. If we can get season 4 in another 2 years with 25 episodes again, we will be freaking cooking with gas. So yeah, people may not be talking about season 3 yet, but there is plenty of reason to. It's a good season. It's much better than season 2, and the seasons coming up are magic. We just gotta make sure we get them. That would be nice. And hopefully I've hyped it up enough for you. And if you haven't watched Rezero at all, I am so jealous. You have so much awesome content waiting for you. But anyway, that's it for this discussion. Hopefully you enjoyed it and I entertained you. And I'd like to thank Factor one more time. And of course, our patrons, if you guys want to join the Patreon, we got some really cool stuff coming up and videos that we're going to be doing like with the Patreon. It's going to be fun. Anyway, I'm Mike. This is Bonsai Pop. That's all for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.